This video is about section 11.3, which is volumes of pyramids, cones, and spheres. Okay, so right away we just need to get a definition out of the way, and it's something called slant height. And what the slant height is the distance measured along the lateral face of the base to the vertex of a pyramid or a cone. So in both these figures, in the cone here, what I'm highlighting in red, that's the slant height. In this pyramid on the right, what I highlighted in red is the slant height. So what's going to happen is when you can see the volume here is going to be 1/3 the base times the height, the area of the base times the height. So sometimes what you might have to do in order to find the height of that pyramid, you might end up having to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the regular old height if you're given the slant height. Okay, so again, volume of a pyramid, this volume should be right down here. The volume is 1/3, and again, notice we have that big capital B. And B, again, just like in the last section, is going to be the area of the base. And again, we have H, which is a regular old height, not the slant height. So the volume of a pyramid is going to be 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Okay, and if you have a cone, the one that I just underlined in red there, a cone always has a circular base. Therefore, the formula can be written as 1/3 the area of the base is area of a circle is pi r squared. So volume is going to equal 1/3 pi r squared h to find the volume of a cone. Okay, and then we also have a volume of a sphere, and this volume of a sphere is going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. Just be careful, make sure you're cubing it there and not squaring it. Okay, so we're going to find the volume of each. Okay, we're going to round B, that means part B, to the nearest tenth, and then we're going to leave the answer to part C in terms of pi. So the first one, I have a rectangular prism. So again, the volume of any pyramid, that's not a prism, pyramid. The volume of any pyramid is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Again, this base is a rectangle, so I need the area of a rectangle to replace B. Area of a rectangle is length times width, and then again, I'll just bring down that height. Okay, and now let's just plug in. The length and the width of that rectangle on the bottom are given. It's 9.5 and 8, and the height of that pyramid is also given. It's 9. So again, you can just chuck that all into the calculator, hit enter, and see what you get. You should get an answer of 228. Okay, your next one is a volume of a cone. Okay, so again, volume of a cone, and again, part B, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So we're going to round this answer to the nearest tenth in the end. So volume, again, is going to be 1/3 the area of the base times the height. The area of the base, it's a circle. So this is going to be 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, so now as I go to plug in, I'm going to have 1/3 pi. Your radius is 4, so we'll have 4 squared. And I need this height. I'm not given that height. That 5, again, represents what's called the slant height from up at the top of this slide. So the first thing that I'm going to have to do before I can plug into the formula, I'm going to have to separately use the Pythagorean theorem to find the height of that cone. So again, Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Only thing that matters is what's going in for C. So I'm going to have x squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Or x squared plus 16 equals 25. Subtract that 16 from both sides, and x squared is going to equal 9. The opposite of squaring something is to take the square root. And when you take the square root of 9, you should get an answer of 3. So 3 is going to be the height of that cone. Okay, again, we're chucking that into the calculator. Once again, please make sure that you are using the pi key here and not 3.14. And when you chuck that into the calculator, you should end up with an answer of 50.3 in the end. Okay, so again, for part C up at the top, we're going to leave part C in terms of pi now. So this is a sphere. So the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, not squared. I know we are so used to saying r squared. Again, please make sure with the sphere that you're cubing that radius. Okay, so we're going to have 4/3 pi. Your radius is 30, so you're going to have 30 cubed. Okay, again, we want pi in our answer. So the first thing I'm going to do in my calculator is 30 cubed. Again, you're using the caret key to do that in case you forget. So 30, the caret key, and then 3, and then you can hit enter. Then you're going to multiply that answer by 4, and then divide by 3. Okay, should come out to a nice neat whole number. When you do that, it should come out to 1200. And then again, we're just going to tack the pi symbol on that. And that's going to be your final answer for that one. Okay, the entrance to the Louvre Museum in Paris, France is a square pyramid. It was built with the approximate volume of 9,039.46 cubic meters and a height of 21.64 meters. What is the length of one side of the base to the nearest meter? Okay, so we were told we have a square pyramid and we were told its volume. So I would like to know what the volume, the formula is here for the volume. Again, the volume of a pyramid is going to be 1/3 the area of the base times the height. It's a square pyramid, which means its base is a square. So now let's replace that area of the base with its formula. Since it's a square, it's going to be side squared, and then we're going to bring down that h. Okay, and now I'm just going to plug in what they gave me. They told me what the volume was. The volume is 9,039.46. So I'm going to take out that v and plug in 9,039.46. I'll bring down the equal sign. I'll bring down the 1/3. I'm looking for the length of one side of the base. So I'm looking for that S. So eventually we're going to have to solve for that S. And over here, they told me what the height is. The height is 21.64. Okay, so it does not matter what you do first here. It's all one and the same. What I would do is I would just simplify the right-hand side first. What does that mean? I'm going to take 1/3 of 21.64. So again, you can either do 1 divided by 3 times 21.64 in the calculator, or just take 21.64 and divide it by 3. It's going to give you the same answer, so it does not matter. So I'll bring down that 9,039.46. Hey, and when you do this on the calculator, you should get an answer of 7.21 times s squared. Okay, so we have to get rid of that 7.21 now. I'm multiplying that s squared times 7.21, so the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we'll divide both sides by 7.21, and that's going to give me an answer of 1,253.739. Those will cancel on the right, so we're going to have s squared. Hey, again, the question is asking you to the nearest meter, so we're going to round our answer to the nearest whole number. How am I going to get that answer? The opposite of squaring something is taking the square root. And when you round that to the nearest whole number, it should come out to an answer of 35. So one side of that square base is going to be 35 meters. For number 3, we want to find the volume to the nearest tenth of a square pyramid with base edges of 24 and a slant height of 14. So again, the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Its base is a square. So let's take out B and put in the area of a square. Again, we just did that in the last problem. It's side squared. Okay, so we're looking for the volume, so we want to solve for V here. And again, I'm going to have the 1/3 base edges. That's going to be the sides of your square there are going to be 24. So we'll have 1/3 24 squared. And now I am given the slant height. I don't need the slant height. I need the regular old height. Okay, I cannot draw a pyramid very well. But again, envision that you have your square base here. And again, you're coming up to that's good enough. I should be able to figure that out. Okay, so your slant height is right here. That's the one that's 14. We're looking for that height there. Okay, and again, what I've drawn in purple now is your right triangle. Why'd I have to give you that lovely picture? Because you need to be careful. When I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, that base of that triangle there that I just kind of made a fatter purple, that is not 24. That's only going to be half of the side of your square. Again, if this is the side of the square was 24, that means this little piece is going to be 12. Okay, and again, just make sure that we're putting the side opposite the right angle, which is your slant height has to go in for C. So your slant height C is going to be 14. And on the other side, it doesn't matter what you put in for A and B. So I'm going to do x squared plus 12 squared equals 14 squared. Okay, 12 squared is going to be 144 and 14 squared is 196. I'll subtract 144 from both sides, and I'm going to have x squared equals 52, and we'll take the square root of both sides, and x is going to be approximately 7.21. Okay, I get the whole answer is saying to the nearest tenth, but again, I won't round to the nearest tenth till the very end. Okay, so now I finally have that 7.2 is going to be your height. So I'll just chuck that back into this formula right here. And now all we have to do is chuck that all into the calculator and multiply, hit enter. And this time we're going to round to the nearest tenth, which is one spot after the decimal. So it's going to be 1,384.3. Okay, and a conical tank. So it's a cone-shaped tank. Okay, the depth and the radius of the water level is 12.1 feet and 1.5 feet respectively. Okay, so depth and radius, it goes in that order. So the depth and the radius. Okay, if water weighs 62.4 pounds per cubic foot, what is the total weight of the water in a full tank to the nearest hundredth? So the first thing I'm going to do is have to find the volume of the tank. Again, I'll keep going back to 1/3 base times the height, and this is the area of the base. If it's a cone, the area of a base is a circle, so it's going to be 1/3 pi r squared h. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the volume of that cone, and then once we find the volume of the cone, we'll multiply that answer by how much water weighs. All right, so I'm going to have 1/3 pi. The radius, again, was given in the problem. It was 1.5. So we'll have 1.5 squared. And the height of your tank is going to be the depth of your tank. That's how deep it is. So that's going to be 12.1. Okay, when you multiply those all together, you should get an answer all round to the nearest hundredth here of 28.51. Again, that's the volume, okay? But we want to know the weight of the tank. So if water weighs 62.4 pounds per foot, and this is how many feet that I have, we'll take that and we'll multiply it by the 62.4, and your final answer is going to be 1,779.02 to the nearest hundredth. Okay, and our last question, a snow globe consists of a glass sphere that's 80% filled with water. If the inside radius of the snow globe is 3 inches, how much water to the nearest tenth of a cubic inch is inside the globe? Okay, so if it's filled 80%, what we're going to do is we're going to find the volume of the entire snow globe, and then all we'll do is take 80% of that answer. Okay, and again, they told us the radius of the inside of that snow globe is 3. So a snow globe is really a sphere. So I need the volume of my sphere, which is 4/3 pi r cubed. All right, so I'm going to do 4/3 pi. We know what the radius is. It's 3, and I just made the same mistake that I keep telling you not to. Okay, to the third power. Okay, so when you, and again, we're going to put this to the, we're going to end up rounding our answer here. So when you put this all in the calculator, again, please make sure that you're using the pi key. You should get an answer of 113, I'll put it out 3 spots for the time being, 0.097. So that's the volume of the full sphere. But now I only want 80% of that. 80% as a decimal is 0.8. So we're going to multiply that answer by 0.8. So when you do 113 times 113.097 times 0.8, that's going to give you an answer of 90.5. So the volume when it's 80% full is going to be 90.5 cubic inches. And that is it for 11th.